do you like that, Heinzie? It now says every week. So we're not late.
We're now subject to change. It's official.
We are non-committal on a day of the week.
That's right. Absolutely. So we're keeping you guessing now, people. That's what it's all about. But hello, Cubs. How are you, mate? Good morning, buddy. It's good to be here. How you going? What's happening?
I'm doing super good. Had a great weekend with the family. My whole house has been sick the last few days, which has interrupted a lot of things. But I got to ask you, did you watch House of the Dragon on Sunday night?
How good is it, man? I'm back here.
Okay, no spoilers, but
no, it's tough not to.
It felt like we were mid-season, 2 to 4 form for Game of Thrones with that first episode. Now, I don't want to get too excited because it's just one episode, but I felt pretty good. It felt great to return to Westeros, man.
100%. Yeah, look, I mean, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was great. I think we're back in. We never really, at the end there, it got a bit, obviously faded away, as a lot of people know. I love it. Just feels right again. Visually, it's spectacular. Surprise, surprise, spoiler, there's dragons in it, and they're pretty freaking awesome. There you go. So let's just leave it at that. But overall, I like the direction early on where the whole storyline's going. I think it's a pretty cool look at it, for sure.
You'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but this episode possessed one of the hardest to watch scenes in the entire franchise. I'm putting it up there with the likes. If you haven't seen Game of Thrones, just tap on the right side of your screen a couple times. But Theon's whole, embark with Ramsay. I found it more hard to watch than that was.
100%. Yeah, it's full on. I mean, it is Game of Thrones. I mean, it's Thrones. What can I say? Just when you think they can't step it up again, they just go above and beyond, don't they? Every time. Yeah. So it's certainly very, very confronting. Would be the best way to put it. Sure.
We could talk all day about that, but we got lots of Galaxy of Heroes stuff to get to, ladies and gentlemen. Starting with our mini moment meme of the week, we have got, hey, how's it going sleeping there? Yeah, shut up. One of these days you will run out of gear for relic mats. That's not one of these days, Heinzie. That already happened.
I'm already awake, mate, filming this. I'm very close to running out already. But I've got a lot of characters to do. So, it's certainly a challenge. But Gear Crunch, that's a video in itself, mate. It really is. We could go over that for hours.
Well, we know that we're getting either a Road Ahead or State of the Galaxy post. I forget which it is. Sometime in September.
Yep.
Crumb has told us that they're going to be addressing that Gear Crunch issue, so the second part of the State of the Galaxy. So one could expect that next post would probably be about that, but I don't know. That's probably too presumptuous of me.
Well, I mean, you never know until we get it. But look, it's certainly something that we all know needs to be addressed. And I think that if we don't see it again in the next few announcements or conversations about where the game's going, there's going to be a lot more unhappy people. I think it's it's at that point now. It really is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we've been there. We've been there. So
yeah.
All right, let's talk Jabba Reqs. So we got the second set of Reqs. You and I haven't had a chance to talk about this yet, but obviously we got the Skiff Guard Lando, which I believe you predicted in one of our videos. Jedi Knight Luke Skywalker, which makes sense. We got Jawa and Urur, which I called out. Not those characters specifically, but I said, I think we could see Jawas and Tuskens in this. And bam! Yep. I'm doing better on predictions this go-around than the last few. And then C-3PO included as well.
Yeah, it makes sense. The only frustrating one for me, Cubs, is Jawa, honestly, on that list. And I've talked about it as well with others in other videos over the last week. The problem with Jawa is that he's not one of what I would call the top 3 to make a Jawa team work effectively. It's an add-on. We know that Scavenger, Engineer, and Chief Nebbit, those 3 for the Jawas are super fundamental to making up a team where basically you can blow up Mothmas. They blow themselves up. Things like that used to be in Conquest a lot with Rey, and that does some fantastic work along the way. Just splits team apart. So Jawa is a bit of a kick because, you can kind of skimp on Jawa, honestly, and then get the other 3 at a reasonable level, and you've got a pretty mean team.
Yeah.
So that to me is probably the only thing that is a little bit disappointing.
Sure.
But the other ones, I think they make sense. They really do. And I think apart from Lando, the rest of them, players have them at a reasonable level. We know the Tuscans are viable again. So with the recent Omicron, so I don't hate that one for sure. A lot of people won't be rapt about it, but if they're using them for 3v3, I think they're okay with that.
Right. Yeah. And I always want to speculate that maybe there would be a rework for characters like this to end up on Reqs, but it just doesn't really happen that much. So I don't know if we won't be too disingenuous by going there. I agree. I wonder if it has to do with lore somehow. I mean, I don't know too much about the lore of Chief Nebbit or Scavenger, if there is any, but maybe they felt like lore-wise it just made more sense to have the most generic Jawa. I don't know. I'm just
normally with things like this, they don't sort of focus too much on the lore. I think that if they can make it work, they do. But I think there's been occasions where they've just thrown it in because it's a hard one to farm. So
it's the least likely Jawa for us to have relicked, and
correct,
so data shows this is the Jawa to use.
Correct. That's hey, absolutely. They're thinking down that track. They want you to farm things you haven't got farmed up in your roster. Otherwise, they're not making money, right?
Now, to be fair, out of all of these requirements, Jedi Luke Skywalker you should already have, C-3PO you should already have, Han Solo you should already have.
Yes.
And the Outrider, if you're a ship farmer, you'd probably have that one. Greedo is kind of a maybe. So they've thrown us a few bones in here. It's about 40-60%.
See, back to what we're talking about, Cubs. Greedo is another example. I know that a lot of people haven't even touched him since the old, dare I say it, the Sith Raid, Phase 3, the Chex Mix days. That's back then. So the Greedo mix. So that's been maybe 4 years or so since anyone's even dusted them off.
Right.
So most people haven't got Greedo at a reasonable level, and really he's not great in the game. There's much better bounty hunters to be farming.
He was like a flash in the pan. Like when they first gave him that rework, a lot of people were really high on him, and then we just kind of figured out he's too much of a glass cannon, right? I mean, he can do those hits over and over and over again, but you poke him twice and he's out.
I see an Omicron for Greedo down the track. That's what I see. I think that makes sense because he definitely needs to be better. And maybe the Hutt cartel will boost him. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm really paying close attention to everybody who is in the Hutt cartel and, questioning what the team's going to be. So far, we've got a couple marquee characters. I forget, is Chris Hansen's considered Hutt cartel, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So you got two marquee characters that are in the Hutt cartel. You can be pretty confident those are going to be the characters working with Jabba. And I don't know how many more they release that are going to be Hutt Cartel. Maybe it'll just be the full new team of Marquis. But that's besides the point, because we got to ask, Heinze, what are the next Jabba Reqs going to be? We do feel pretty confident predicting some of the Hutt Cartel, but at this point, we've got so many on there that are not currently on the list, like Boba Fett, Embo, Cad Bane, Mob Enforcer has not shown up yet, and you're really confident that one's going to be there. So between those, I mean, is that where you're gonna place your bet for the most likely in the third round?
Yeah. I see Mob Enforcer. I think that's an obvious one. Again, goes back to the story of people don't have it up. I only have mine at relic level because I did it for a sub goal once. That's the only reason I have it myself at a reasonable level. It's not something I focus on enormously, and a lot of people don't. And if you want a GL, they'll find a hard way for you to get it. One good thing about Mob Enforcer, though, is that there's no Kairos in Mob Enforcer. That's one good thing because it's an older character. So no Kairos in there. So, if it does pop up, it's not the worst farm in comparison to all the other ones that we currently do with all the marquees. So it's kind of better, but it's definitely coming.
Okay.
All
right.
Possibly Bib Fortuna could be another marquee we'll see at some point, or a lifter unit maybe down the track. That could be something along those lines.
Bib's got to be a lifter. I don't feel like Bib. I feel like Bib is better than a marquee, but it feels like the trend that we're getting right now, though, is we're gonna have at least one new marquee character. I would really like to see it be a Bosch Leia.
Yep.
And then we've got 4 other requirements that would come with that. That's if they follow this pattern here. And so if Mob Enforcer is one of those, there's still 3 other characters that we don't have predicted yet. So who do you think are going to be those other 3 potentially?
Yeah, no, Bosch Leia makes sense. I'm going to say Bosch Leia makes sense. And I mean, if we do Bosch Leia, that's kind of like the whole, Resistance Hero Finn Poe combination, right? With Lando now. So that's that.
Heck yes.
I see that. So,
I'm here for that synergy. I'm here for that.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think you get to play between those two for sure. Yeah, look, Mob Force is going to be one. That's a definite. I see that being, something that's pretty
so
obvious.
Bosch Leia, Mob Force, then who are the other 3? Because I don't think it's going to be Cad Bane, Embo, and Boba. There's got to be another sleeper in our roster somewhere that we're not thinking about.
Correct. It's a tricky one. We could even get another ship though, couldn't we? There's no reason why we can't get another ship.
Have they ever done? They've only ever done one ship, right?
Subject to change, baby. I said it. You never know. Anything's possible. I mean, they follow a trajectory, but it's not always locked in. But scrolling through, I mean, Mob Enforcer obviously is one that everyone's going, ooh, yuck. We know that one's, definitely coming. Could they do something crazy like Farm Boy Luke or Ugnaught, something like that? Is that possible?
Farm Boy Luke doesn't necessarily have a connection.
No,
it wasn't until, and we already got Jedi Luke. I thought about Ugnaught. I mean, Ugnaughts are kind of everywhere. I don't know if we ever really saw an Ugnaught at the palace, though.
True.
So it's just the more I look at it, I'm like, well, who?
It's tricky to predict exactly what the last ones are. I mean, we'll find out soon enough.
Maybe Young Han.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean,
we already got a Han though. We already got a Han.
Yeah, but I mean, Young Han works, because he said he would have worked with Jabba in the lead up. We know that, at the end of Solo, they talked about obviously going off to work with him. So yeah, that could work. That's around the timeline for sure.
Kira
possibility.
Possibly that's loose. We could also be dipping into what if it was another Tusken and another Jawa.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if we had one of the 3 main Jawas as an option. I think that would be great. I think that could actually help make a team, because allowing for the basic Jawa, that's just not enough.
Another consideration is we do not have to date a Relic 9 character included in the Reqs. And so maybe there'd be somebody who's more at the top of our roster that would require a Relic 9.
That's certainly a possibility. Yes,
that could be something like Leia. There isn't a Leia required yet, and we're only assuming we get Bosch Leia. We don't know that we're going to get Bosch Leia.
Yeah. I think a Relic 9 is possible, and no one wants to hear it, but there's no reason why not.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not asking for that. This CG, don't watch this video. So.
No, don't. Forget we even mentioned it. Don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. We could talk about this all day. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments below. What it's going to be. Some of those sleeper characters for that third round and final round of Reqs. So, Heinze, lastly, I want to talk to you about we're calling it the SwoloQuest. What's your review of this latest iteration of Conquest?
Well, I think the majority of the player base will have, resistance at a reasonable level and first order at a reasonable level. I think that certainly with the feats has made it a little bit easier than some of the other ones. If there is such a thing, Conquest being easy, I've got to be very careful saying easy and Conquest in the same words, right? It's I actually, I pushed through it because I wanted to get a fair few of the Datacron materials.
Sure.
I managed to rip through it in 3 days. And that's the quickest I've ever done it this time around. Because the feats I was able to double up on in quite a few occasions, but I found that the combinations that I could make up with what they're looking for to do the event feats specifically,
right?
I could actually work around pretty well. So look, right, I'm a Phil well, you guys know it. So don't be surprised with me saying that. But I spend a good solid week of farming Datacron material, which certainly will help me in GAC. So it's certainly one of those situations where it could be. It doesn't feel as difficult or grindy as the previous iterations. And I mean, Dad Bod Baber by far was the worst one yet. That's still the case. This is certainly a lot easier than that one for sure.
Yep. So I really enjoyed this Conquest for the most part. I definitely hit the fatigue. I don't have. I mean the grindiness of this one was I feel like pretty similar to the last few. And so I feel like it's worth mentioning again because that is part of the review, even though it's not necessarily better or worse. I did hit this wall with Conquest. I don't know if you hit this, but I blitzed for the first week. I was going nuts. I was getting, through as fast as I could. And then I hit this wall where I look at some of those longer term feats where it's just like 40 battles with resistance, 40 battles with first order, however many it is. And I'm like halfway through it. I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to auto another battle.
Yeah.
And I think it's just this problem Conquest has where I feel like there's a balance of the grind, and I still feel like they just have too much grindy, mindless feats that aren't really challenging. It's just basically testing your stamina, and that's it. And I get tired of that, but I don't know if that's ever going to change, Heinzie.
It won't. It won't. One thing that annoys me though is that apart from the first release of the Datacrons, where we got the pack with the cash in it, the currency, and that hasn't returned since the first iteration of the release. And yes, I'm talking packs, people, because anyway. But the point is that when one thing I noticed that when obviously I went back and I was doing the Sector 5 feats trying to get the Datacron materials, there were many occasions where you wouldn't get the currency, and that's the only way we could get it at that time, in between them being available in the store, right?
Right.
So I personally would like a guaranteed drop of that data cache, the currency, if possible. They want us to engage in the Datacrons, and we need to, of course, re-roll quite a lot with those. And I can understand the mats have the RNG aspect, but I think if you go in and do a battle at least, and you get one of the real crappy basic mats, I think that's a bit of a cop-out for the energy that you need to use for it. At least if you get currency guaranteed drop every time, I think, considering it's only capped at 30 million anyway, I think that would actually be a good thing to do. I think that they've sort of got to guarantee some sort of a currency drop in those nodes. That would certainly make people a lot happier, I think.
I think that's a good idea. Good feedback. You heard it here first, CG. Listen to this man. This man has been playing this game for at least a week.
Just a little bit, yeah. Just on and off, not too often. Yeah. I just realized I put the wrong headset on for this video. Like normally I've got my little earbuds. I just realized I got my old headset on.
Well, you look good in a headset.
Actually makes me look bigger. See, like big fat head. I've already got a fat head, so just realized then.
It doesn't make you look fat.
Oh, really? Oh, thanks, man.
It just makes you look fashionably plump.
Wow, just wow.
I'm just playing.
You little skinny, you're having a crack at me. Seriously, unbelievable.
I'm going to run. I'm running away. I'm running.
Get stuff,